Welcome to the Geek-Centric Podcast. Today, we break down everything we just heard during Marvel's Hall H panel. All this and everything else that happened this week in Geek at San Diego Comic-Con 2022, Day 3.
Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace.
Hey, it's Nate, and if you're joining us for the first time, we are Geek-Centric, a podcast celebrating the world of movies, TV shows, toys, collectibles, gaming, and all things geek-centric, and all things Marvel, it seems, as that is all that I want to talk about during this podcast. But joining me to break things down for this SDCC recap part 2, we've got the JRR token, joint roller smoking, Justin, the Justice Fatigue League Lawrence. How you doing tonight, Justin?
Dude, I feel like I'm high on something after all of the news that just dropped. So yeah, I think I got a little Marvel seasoning on my doobie, and I've just burned that sucker down.
Dude, I feel like I got hit by a truck of information. We're gonna try and break it down as best we can. Yeah, oh man. I am feeling it. But listen, after 2 years, Marvel has finally returned to Hall H, and they announced some crazy shit. So we're gonna talk about it. Kevin Feige, of course, came out onto the stage after being introduced by Miss Minutes, which I thought was a cute thing. You know, Tara Strong up there. Voicing Miss Minutes, and she was like, "Thank you for y'all for coming to Hall H" or something like that. And then Kevin Feige walks out. He's wearing a Miss Minutes hat, and he says Phase 4 will end after She-Hulk and after Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. So Justin, pretty crazy news right off the top there. I was kind of shocked. I'm like, wait, what already? What are your thoughts? I mean, we've basically, we had Phase 4 take 3 years, I guess, from 2019 would be when it started.
That's a fair assessment. We got to remember, too, that we had a lot of series go through at the same time as these movies. So we're actually getting double the amount of content. I think someone broke it down. Phase 4 is already more hours in content than all previous phases 1, 2, and 3 combined.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we've gotten a lot of MCU content over the last 3 years, and we've been very spoiled, to be truthfully honest. And to see that we're already looking at the future of with Phase 5 and Phase 6 on the horizon, with a massive crossover event like we've anticipated for the closure of this saga, there's a lot of ground to still cover between now and 2025, right? So, you know, again, because Disney Plus is such a fruitful endeavor for Marvel to help tell more stories and expand on that, it's just creating a more accelerated process for us getting to the end of this saga.
Well, it's interesting because I recently was sent an article regarding or it wasn't an article, it was a TikTok, and it was just somebody explaining why they felt kind of this first group of live-action Disney Plus series have felt very similar, and how a lot of them haven't learned from each other in terms of fan reaction, and like how a lot of them sort of end in similar ways, or they start off strong, they have a dip in the middle, and then some fans really like the ending and some don't. And it's interesting because all of those were filmed at the same time, even though we're getting them in this sort of rapid succession. And I think, honestly, a lot of their plans, I think their original plans were to really make that phase, or Phase 4, what we're currently on, maybe a 1.5 year thing, especially when we start talking about Phase 5 and 6 coming up, where we kind of see how those break down from a year-to-year standpoint.
True.
Let's kind of dive into it here. He, then threw up a graphic and was like, let's just talk about Phase 5. Phase 5 is going to be kicking off with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and then we'll end on July 26, 2024 with Thunderbolts. So let's just quickly go down the list here. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, February 17th, 2023. Secret Invasion, spring 2023. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, May 5th, 2023. Echo, summer 2023. Loki Season 2, summer 2023. The Marvels, July 28th, 2023. Blade, we got an announcement for the date, November 3rd, 2023. Ironheart, fall 2023. Agatha got a name change. Agatha used to be, what was it? Agatha House of Harkness, and now it's Coven of Chaos. Is going to be winter 2023/24. So I guess they're kind of debating that. And then Daredevil Born Again was announced, which is absolutely incredible. Fall 2023. And then Captain America New World Order is the name of the next Captain America movie starring Sam Wilson, which will be May 3rd, 2024. And then ending off Phase 5 will be July 26th, 2024 with The Thunderbolts. So absolutely nuts. Again, there's so much information here. I wanted to kind of start off with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Feige kind of invited director Peyton Reed and the stars onto the stage. Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Jonathan Majors, who we got a poster for, and we got to see as Kang, and apparently they got to see some footage of Kang. Catherine Newton was there as well, and they kind of did a Q&A. And so apparently it's epic in scale. It's a sci-fi adventure that is decidedly unique to the franchise, and then fans were given a look at the upcoming film. Superhero partners Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne return to continue their adventures in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Together with Hope's parents, Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, the family find themselves exploring the quantum realm, interacting with strange new creatures, and embarking on an adventure that will push them beyond the limits of what they thought possible. We were hearing some, tweets and things like that saying that it's going to take place almost entirely in the quantum realm, which is absolutely incredible. We also saw that there were some additional people cast. Justin, did you catch any of the additional cast that's going to be coming in?
Well, there was a lot of rumors about Bill Murray being attached to star in it, and it seems like whatever footage that they saw, that was confirmed. There was also a rumor that MODOK was going to be appearing in this movie, which the footage that they saw also confirmed that MODOK will be in it. We were watching The Kind of Funny Guys, and someone fired off that Corey Stoll, who was in the first Ant-Man and played Yellow Jacket, that he would be MODOK. I don't know. I couldn't find anything online to confirm that. I thought maybe someone just threw that in the chat. I didn't catch any other ones. I know that they recasted Cassie Lang. I think you mentioned that. Did you already mention that?
We have Catherine Newton is the new Cassie Lang. So the third Cassie Lang.
Third iteration.
Iteration of Cassie Lang. Yeah. Maybe she's just a variant, but yeah.
Yeah, well, but I think it's, it'll be interesting to see, how Newton takes it. This seems to be the stepping stone for everything that is going to follow after when we get into Phase 6. So I think this has a lot of weight on it in terms of this film and what it needs to set up, and maybe not necessarily set up, but introduce. You know what I mean? I think we have to get off the mind frame that everything is just a huge setup. It's maybe just an introduction. A multiverse of madness is very much a learning lesson for me. Not to always read so far. Understand what the goal is and what else is in and around the movie to help expand on it. So yeah, I think Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is going to be very important for the future of the MCU.
Totally. I mean, if it's kicking off Phase 5, it's the first movie of Phase 5, then I think it has to kind of set a precedent for these movies. I wanted to just quickly touch upon two things. Bill Murray is confirmed. I think it's going to be more of a cameo role. Apparently he plays someone who knows Michelle Pfeiffer. I like to think of the idea that maybe he's like a previous lover or something like that. Like they had they like dated a while back or something
in the quantum realm,
right? Or maybe maybe she met
there?
him. She met him in the quantum realm, and they
we tried to have
together.
A life, and it just didn't work out. Yeah,
and then obviously Hank, like Michael Douglas's character, is going to be like, what? Excuse me? Like, you never mentioned this or anything like that? I don't know. I think it would be a lot of fun to bring him in because he just seems like that kind of guy. And then there's one more thing. There was, during the footage that was shown, dude, this line from Kang. Apparently, Scott shows up in front of Kang and he turns and he goes, "You're an Avenger? Have I killed you before?" Like, let's freaking go, dude. Like, I am so stoked. I cannot wait to see Kang again. Jonathan Majors is just, he's set for life. I'm so happy for him. I'm so excited to see him coming back as Kang after his performance in Loki. So let's keep going here. We then got to see some more information on Secret Invasion, which I think we mentioned is coming to Disney Plus spring 2023. Kobe Smulders, who will be reprising her role of Maria Hill, came in and she was on hand to talk about the new show. The audience was delighted. They showed a clip, a glimpse of what's in store. People were saying it's like a thriller, like it's really like almost like scary and dark. They were talking about
thriller, yeah.
Skrulls running away from explosions, screaming. So it seems pretty interesting. It's a crossover event series showcasing a faction of shape-shifting Skrulls who have been infiltrating Earth for years. And I heard somewhere that they were talking about Nick Fury without his eye patch, hunting Skrulls.
Grizzly. Yeah, he's grizzly. He's a little more worn. Apparently, this is a different Nick Fury. If anything, to learn from the panel is, you know, a lot of time has passed here, and the fact that it's being touted as a dark thriller has me very excited because, again, what Marvel is doing so well with all of these shows and movies is just trying to find a way to hit a genre, like to kind of tap in on a genre and kind of frame the show in and around that and have those elements to help kind of give it a vibe, right? So every time we go from these different movies and shows, we're getting a bit of something, and in some ways they're finding ways to connect it to each other. So I think it's really it's crafty how they're weaving their own story and their own genre, right? Not just making a comic book genre. They're bringing in other elements. So yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be like a very intense show. Yeah.
And then we got some. Obviously, they as I mentioned, they showed the big graphic showing all of Phase 5. I at this point I just can't wait to get to 2023 and get to see all this stuff. You know, we were just talking about Echo on the podcast. I'm so excited for that. But I think one of the things that popped quite a bit was the confirmation, because there were some leaks that came out. I think Marvel had kind of put out some patents for some different names, and they or copyright for some different names, and one of them was Captain America: New World Order. I'm stoked, man. I'm excited. I don't quite know what New World Order could possibly mean.
Well, someone called out that it was the name of the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is very interesting, considering that we've already had that title in an episode. But from the comics, it's actually referred to. New World Order is a supervillain organization founded by Red Skull. So I don't know what that means. Do we get a Red Skull resurgence? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
You're right. New World Order is the name of the first episode of the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. So that's really interesting. And I'm also wondering, if you look at the logo treatment, I'm wondering if we do get Rhodey back in that movie as well, as I predicted in a previous episode.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also too, the lack of Armor Wars in all of this.
Yeah.
No
Armor Wars.
Not giving anything away, but there was no Armor Wars predicted for or seen in phase 5. So we have to assume at some point in phase 6 it will make an appearance because there are some open dates. But yeah, maybe he makes an appearance in this series. Maybe he's also destined to make an appearance in Ironheart, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm also we didn't get anything for Werewolf by Night. I thought we might. Maybe they will save that for the D23 panel, along with like maybe the Christmas.
I guess because like here the reality is that we got a She-Hulk trailer, which we'll talk about later, but you know, we're just weeks away from the show being available to stream. But you know, with D23 happening in September and Werewolf by Night being a Halloween special, hopefully we get it before D23. I think we should get something like a teaser or something like that. I'm wondering if they tried to fit it in on for today, because Michael Giacchino, when you had your interview with him, he said we would be hearing about it very soon.
Yeah,
and he seemed very certain about that. So,
I think it's D23.
Wondering if it might have been.
Yeah,
maybe it's like at this point it would have to be.
Yeah,
right. But it's just like that's a really short window for that. But maybe it is just a surprise and delight for fans. It's like, hey, in less than a month you can watch this.
Yeah, so, here's our trailer for our Halloween thing, and then here's a quick tease of some goats running across the screen for our Christmas thing. Like, I could see them just doing something along those lines. Of course, I think people really freaked out and popped off for the name Daredevil Born Again. I am so amped. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio confirmed for returning, streaming in spring 2024. I'm so amped for this, and it's interesting because that is coming after both She-Hulk, which we're going to talk about that moment at the end of that trailer, as well as Echo. And so it leads me to kind of think like, okay, he's going to be popping up. Obviously, we've already officially seen him in the MCU, not suited up as Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home. So to you know, have to wait until then to see them pop up again. And obviously we got D'Onofrio in Hawkeye earlier. So, you know, we're going to see them in other projects before we get to see this, I guess, Born Again revamped version of that Netflix series.
Well, the name Born Again works really well because he's being reintroduced into MCU proper from Netflix. But it's also a comic run from 1986 that was actually written by Frank Miller. And the story deals with Daredevil's descent into insanity and destitution at the Kingpin's hands, as well as subsequent struggles to build a new life for himself. The storyline was loosely adapted in the 2018, the third season of the Daredevil series. So I think, you know, using this as a basis to help reintroduce Matt Murdock Daredevil into the MCU proper, it seems very fitting, and it looks like it's going to be what we anticipate, a very much a character study around the hero. So yeah, I'm extremely excited for this. 18 episodes, like, wow, that is a huge number of episodes for a first season.
Yeah, I'm super amped for it again, as I was saying. But we'll come back to that butt, Matt Murdock's butt, later on. Because for now, get ready to cry. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is coming out on May 5th, 2023. And there were a lot of Guardians on hand to dish about the highly anticipated third installment of Guardians of the Galaxy. Director James Gunn came out on stage alongside Chris Pratt, Karen Gillan, Pom Klementif, Sean Gunn, Will Poulter, and Maria Bakalova, who we learned is going to be playing Cosmo the Space Dog, which is absolutely insane. Yeah. Apparently, people were saying that she did mocap for it, so I don't understand quite how that works. Yeah, apparently they kind of took part to engage in the discussion, and then Chukwudi Iwuji, who we love from Peacemaker, arrived on stage. He's going from DC to Marvel, making the flip, and he showed off the costume. He was literally wearing the costume of his character, the High Evolutionary, in the film. The audience was treated to a special look as well, and And the tagline kind of comes in here and says, in Marvel Studios' Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, our beloved band of misfits are looking a bit different these days. Peter Quill, still reeling from the loss of Gamora, must rally his team around him to defend the universe along with protecting one of their own. A mission that, if not completed successfully, could quite possibly lead to the end of the Guardians as we know them. We got to see some leaked footage, and it did look pretty dire. Slow motion footage of Palm Clementif's Mantis doing some dancing, slow motion dancing, but we specifically got to see a small, very brief, little tiny, and I say little tiny because he's so cute, image or little brief video of a hand reaching out from the darkness to a baby Rocket raccoon. So we're going to be exploring Rocket's origins. James Gunn on stage mentioned that he says, he thinks about what makes, these characters real. Obviously they start off being really goofy, but what makes Rocket real? And he realized that if he was real, he'd be the saddest creature in the universe. And I think in that description that I read, that them talking about protecting one of their own, I think they're talking about Rocket. And I think that there's going to be something going on with Rocket specifically where they have to kind of explore his origins as well as introduce us to this threat that maybe is coming back from his past.
Well, I think the High Evolutionary is the threat that is coming back from Rocket's past. And if I'm not mistaken, and I think Darcy actually might be able to verify this, but I think the High Evolutionary plays a part in the origins of Rocket Raccoon and how he got the way he was with the experimentation and so on. So that'll be really cool. I'm also wondering, too, if Adam Warlock is challenging the High Evolutionary as he is now more supreme or more powerful than him. I'm not sure. But, hey, if I'm wrong, you can write into us and let me know. But, yeah, I think it's really cool that they're focusing on a character that is probably, as he described, the goofiest of them all, just an angry talking raccoon, and really going so far in this film to, I think, humanize him and have the audience really connect to his trauma that does find its way into Guardians 3, where we're going to be exploring Rocket's life and his past and the trauma that he carries and how he's carried it through all of his life. So yeah, it'll be the strongest way that you can end this series, especially as James Gunn has been saying that this is the end for them, but they're not all going to die. Yeah, this is the end.
Yeah, he did confirm. He kind of came out and said, like, listen, story's got to end, but that doesn't mean everyone's going to die, so don't be too upset. But we also, Gamora, apparently shown in the footage as now the leader of the Ravagers. And there's a moment where Peter Quill is surprised and says, so you really don't remember anything about your time with us? And Gamora says no. And then they continue the trailer from there. So I'm very intrigued to see kind of how this works. It's a little sketchy in my mind right now. It's also nearing midnight for me, so my brain isn't fully there right now. But Gamora, this Gamora that we're seeing, this is the alternate variant of Gamora, I'm assuming, right? Not the not the one that died. So yeah, she wouldn't have ever maybe had those adventures with them. Is that where we're kind of going off of?
I guess. I don't know why he's asking her that question then. Is he hoping that in some way the memories have found their way to connect back to her because now she's part of their timeline? Like, I don't know. I just don't understand the logic in it, because you're right. If you understood the way things were, okay, well, my Gamora is dead, but you're obviously a Gamora from another time. Yeah, you wouldn't know me. I would at least understand it that way. So I don't really understand why he's asking her that. I don't know if there was anything we missed maybe from previous movies that would insinuate that she would. I think there were moments in towards the end of Endgame where we maybe got the hint that she recognized that he meant something, but she didn't fully understand it. She was almost scared of it rather than being like yielding to it, right? She was more intimidated by it because she's like, there's something about all of them, but she just doesn't understand it. And I think it scares her. I think it scares her more than anything. And maybe that's how whatever he thinks that she might remember has manifested itself as more of a fear rather than a willingness to just be a part of their family, because it doesn't seem like, based on what was described in the footage, that she doesn't want to be a part of the Guardians anymore.
Yeah. I mean, she's got her own thing going on, right? She's one of the Ravagers, and I think maybe that's her, as you said, putting up some sort of shield, if you will, to sort of say like, no, I don't want to be a part of anything that you've got going on.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's great because in a way she's manifested herself to be her own Peter Quill, and I think that's what's interesting, right?
Yeah, man, absolutely. I'm so stoked for this.
We're stoked for everything, man.
I'm stoked for everything.
We're not stoked for.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true. Stop saying it. But then that's not it. Like, they started crying on stage, and there were tears flowing as it was the final Guardians of the Galaxy proper, I guess, movie. But then
I don't think they ever saw the footage. I don't think they saw the footage, right?
Maybe that was it. They were reacting to Baby Rocket,
because they all seemed.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was.
They all seemed pretty, like, based on what we were reading. They all seemed fairly emotional. They all took a moment to thank James Gunn and to say how much they loved him as a filmmaker. And I think that's, they felt it on the set, and they probably felt it from watching that footage, that this is a fond farewell love letter to Guardians, right? So I think it just goes to show everyone's going to have an emotional resonance from the cast and crew right down to the audience when they see that baby rocket.
Oh my gosh. Forget Baby Groot, dude. Baby Groot's out. Baby Yoda, forget Baby Yoda. It's all about Baby Rocket now. I'm telling you. They're going to go crazy with all the toys and stuff like that. So then, it didn't stop there. They kept pushing forward, and Kevin Feige straight up was like, let's talk about phase, that was phase 5. We're done with phase 4. That was all the stuff from phase 5. Let's talk about phase 6. And dude, like, absolutely insane. Phase 6 is going to be kicking off with Fantastic Four, which is hitting theaters November 8th, 2024. And that's the first movie of phase 6. So after we see Thunderbolts, we're going to look forward to Fantastic Four, which is absolutely insane. Of course, we were all kind of expecting potentially some casting information. They could still drop that at D23, but given how far away it seems this movie is, I don't know if they necessarily need to yet. You know what I mean? Like, we could be getting that maybe at 2023's D23 instead, and sort of learning more about that there. And then they announced 2, not 1, but 2 Avengers movies. Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, which is opening in theaters May 2nd, 2025, and Avengers: Secret Wars, finally confirmed, releasing on November 7th, 2025. And the all of phase 6 is going to be, phase 4, 5, and 6 is going to be known as the Multiverse Saga. So we had the Infinity Saga, and now we've got the Multiverse Saga. Justin, like, where do you want to start here with this news? What do you want to talk about here?
Well, let's start with Fantastic Four. You're absolutely right. I think that we don't need to get casting news right off the bat. We don't even need a director right now as well. We could probably wait a bit, but setting a date at least puts it in stone as to where it needs to land in the grand Feige plan, if you will. And the introduction of 2 Avengers movies that are May and November, that I feel like are like 6 months apart from each other, and you're getting 2 Avengers movies. It feels like the reason why they're showing these 3 and not the rest, because we noticed in their timeline there were some dates that were left blank, and we don't know what's going to go there. But Fantastic Four will definitely feed into the importance of Avengers: Kang Dynasty, and Kang's Dynasty will feed into the importance of Secret War. I think
absolutely
this is the trifecta of the events, right? So Fantastic Four really does set it up, and then Kang's Dynasty is going to allow us to almost have that Thanos level story of Infinity War, where we spend time with the villain and
Exactly.
understand the villain, and we do that story and understand. We probably travel through time, maybe even, and see the multiple ways that Kang has touched different lives and maybe events that we've already seen in the MCU. I don't know. I think it's sort of smart. They've shown in many ways how those movies are meant to connect. What's going to happen in between of them, I think, are going to be very small subsequent things that are going to help build more momentum to the inevitable Secret War event. I am surprised, though, that we didn't get any notice or confirmation of directors, given that Joe and Anthony Russo have talked so openly about wanting to direct a Secret Wars project.
Yeah, I mean they've been talking about it a lot. Like they've been mentioning Secret Wars quite a bit.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, and they've been talking about it with confidence. So you can't imagine that Feige hasn't at least put the bug in their ear about this, and they haven't at least offered some advice, right? About what it is. But part of me believes that they don't want to be tied down by a 2-movie deal like they did last time. They did that once. They say it wasn't good for their health, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't good for them, right? To do both Infinity War and Endgame back to back. Like, if they do Secret Wars, they might very well be involved in Kang Dynasty and maybe Fantastic Four if they're inevitably meant to connect in some way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did see, Phase 4. How many movies did we get in Phase 4? I'm trying to look it up here.
Well, we actually got 7 movies and 7 series on Disney Plus between January 2021 and obviously at the end of with Black Panther Wakanda Forever, November 11th, 2022. So
right. And then we've got 9, potentially 10 for Phase 5, as Agatha Coven of Chaos is quoted as potentially. Well, I guess Phase 5, they'll still include it in Phase 5, even if it is a 2024 release. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 movies or projects, potentially, because some of those could be live-action streaming stuff or animated streaming stuff, for our Phase 6.
Even on this graphic for Phase 4, that we're looking at, that they showed at the panel, we don't see What If there, right?
That's true.
And we have to look at all the live action as being, those are the elements, right? So, I honestly believe that, you said it, this has been a pretty big ordeal with the pandemic.
Yeah.
That Phase 4 got stretched out. Based on the plans of Phase 5 and 6, it's like, there's a lot that they're trying to do in like a year and a half. So it's going to be content on content. Like you're just going to have your fill of Marvel. Like it's
not stopping,
back to back. Yeah.
It's not stopping. And this is how it's kind of felt with this phase as well, right? I think this is the first time, because of the Disney Plus stuff, where it hasn't felt like we've been without a Marvel thing, for more than a month, I think, at the very, very longest. Do you have any guesses? Do you want to make any guesses at all for any of those blank spots on this graphic for Phase 6?
Again, like, it's crazy how they're planning these phases, because it's like towards the end of November, Phase 6 is beginning of 2024. Like, I feel like we need to be getting a Shang-Chi sequel.
Yep.
We need to be getting Armor Wars as well.
Yeah.
I think that needs to go in there somewhere. I just don't know where. When we look at like the Infinity Saga timeline, and we know what movies were important to the actual Endgame movies and stuff like that, there's certain ones that definitely stand out. There's other ones that we obviously know are very supplemental. They're just there to help build out the character. Like, even the introduction of Doctor Strange movie was meant to be just an introduction to his character and the Time Stone. And that's about it, really, right? He had more value in Infinity War and Endgame than he did in his own solo movie, right? So there could be small things that happen throughout here that may play into, the bigger story. I don't know. Are we looking at a Moon Knight, right? Is Moon Knight even going to be important?
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There is a comic series where Moon Knight is, chasing after Kang, which I've been reading. Which is pretty wild. So, he could be a part of Kang's dynasty, in some capacity.
I'm also thinking by this point, there's a lot of open blank spots on there, and it's funny how leave it up to Kevin Feige and Marvel to put on such a show at Hall H that we all just forgot about the mutants. We all just sat there and ate up all this news, and at no point in time did they say the word mutants, and we're all just like, we're so enamored by everything. But what I'm saying is we've got all these blank spots. There's our mutant projects right in there. There's our mutants because they have to be bringing in the mutants before Secret Wars. I firmly believe that. Yes, 4 Secret Wars leading up to. And so I think at least 1 or 2 of those spots are going to be for something mutants related, and then potentially even a Disney Plus live action thing related to the X-Men in particular, I think would be really cool in there. And I think that makes, in my mind, that's where all the mutants are going to be hiding. And I also feel like that if we look at the spots on that big image that was on Twitter of the screen, I really do think that they could sneak on one more Avengers logo, and then they do the reveal, right? And it's just Avengers, and then it just says Young above it. Like at the end of next year's Hall H panel, right, leading up to this.
I think that's what Kang's Dynasty is meant to be, is a Young Avengers.
You think that's
story.
The Young Avengers
We just don't
movie.
know it. I do. I believe so. I believe that's going to be the one that's going to be the precursor to Secret Wars, where we get full-fledged, right? I think we will focus on some of the newer Avenger characters in that. It'll be interesting to see who we see, even in any of these. Like they're deeming it as an Avengers movie, so whatever this team of heroes is, it's going to be new. We know that. So who's it going to be?
Wow.
Do we get another Thor? I don't think we need another Thor, but
maybe.
Do we get another Thor?
I hope we get a standalone Hulk movie. I think would be great. You know what I mean? Like get Ruffalo into an actual Hulk movie. I think would be really cool.
Yeah. But I think the important thing about them showing us these Phase 6 movies, Fantastic Four, Kang Dynasty, and Secret Wars, is really to show the trajectory and how those 3 movies are going to connect. I think everything else that's going to happen is it's going to be more character driven stuff that will have an influence or maybe tie in to these 3 movies that we're seeing. They're very much connected. There's been a lot of discussion about Fantastic Four. Like they want a big name as a director. This has got to be a big movie. This has to do a lot. Is there a Doctor Doom element that plays into this? Because we got Secret Wars. We know Doctor Doom is very much involved. Fantastic Four is there. Like again, it's just there's a lot that's right there with just those 3, that all those other small things, it could really be anything.
And it's interesting too because there's near the beginning there, obviously with Fantastic Four coming out November 8th, 2024, there are 2 listings for fall 2024 as well. So Fantastic Four might not actually kick off Phase 6. We might have 2 other projects, but I'm also wondering if those could be held for maybe some things that they don't consider to be. Yeah, maybe they don't consider them to be the
Armor Wars,
the epic, big thing that's kicking off the phase. Maybe it's they want to wait for it to the movie.
Spider-Man. Are we getting another Spider-Man? Is there one of those?
Sony really, I think, would love that very much if we got another Spider-Man. And I think as Marvel fans, that's
I think they need to learn.
I
think they need to learn though. Let them keep doing their Spider-Man projects and have the Morbius success that they've had. And then they'll be like, but you know what, Marvel, maybe we should get back together, bring the band back together, and make another Spider-Man movie, because it's been radio silence after that. So
well, let's get to the kind of the ending of the Hall H panel, and then we're going to talk about those trailers that were dropped. Ryan Coogler comes out on stage. I think before that, Kevin Feige said something really cool that, like, dude, if you're freaking Kevin Feige and you just get to say these things and wear those hats, how incredible is your life? Like, he literally walks out on stage after they reveal the Multiverse Saga is the name of the 4, 5, and 6 phases. And he comes up and he goes, so we've talked about the past. We've talked about the future. Now let's talk about forever. And I was like, what? Like, it's such a great line. So freaking dope. And he comes out and he brings on Ryan Coogler out onto the stage. And they bring out the entire cast of Wakanda Forever. And yeah, we get to. I think they started off with a performance by Baaba Mal, who was doing vocals, and Masamba Diop on what's a drum called the tama, and dancers and drummers were coming out on stage. And Feige was joined, by Ryan Coogler and cast members Mabel Cadena, Michael Cole, Winston Duke, Denai Guerrera, Tanak Huerta, Florence Kasumba, Alex Livinali, Lupita Nyong'o, Dominique Thorne, and Letitia Wright for Q&A and a first look at the film's trailer. The breakdown, the description they've given us here is: in Marvel Studios' Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Queen Ramonda, Shuri, M'Baku, Okoye, and the Dora Milaje fight to protect their nation from intervening world powers in the wake of King T'Challa's death. As Wakandans strive to embrace their next chapter, the heroes must band together with the help of War Dog Nakia and Everett Ross and forge a new path for their kingdom of Wakanda. Introducing Tanak Huerta as Namor, king of a hidden undersea nation, the film also stars Dominique Thorne, Michaela Coel, Mabel Cadena, and Alex Livinali. And yeah, it's going to be the final title in Phase 4 and opens in theaters November 11th. This was incredible. I can't wait to talk about the trailer with you. But obviously Coogler came on the stage and just gave like some really incredible, just really heartfelt stories, obviously regarding Chadwick Boseman. There was a quote that went around and said the cast, including Chadwick, hadn't seen the footage when he was standing on Hall H when they did the first Black Panther, and he said he was so excited, and he grabbed Coogler by the shoulders, and he was getting excited as the clip went on and squeezing down on my shoulder. When it was done, I couldn't even lift my arm. That's how excited Chadwick was. He said Chadwick is no longer with us physically, but his spirit, his pride, and the impact he had on the industry will be felt forever. Dude, let's chat about this. Tanak Huerta as Namor was confirmed, and Dominic Thorne, who is Riri Williams, is confirmed to be in this movie as well.
Yeah, I think I mentioned to you as we were watching the feed and we were discussing, you were surprised by that, and I said that was something that was confirmed early on, and very much. It's not a surprise, but it's cool to see how integral she's going to be in the story. I think a lot of people thought, oh, this is a cameo. This is how she's going to get her sort of flex and interest in being Ironheart is her introduction to Wakanda. But it looks like she's very integral to the story. So I'm very happy to see that it's not just a cameo and a setup. It's more important than that. Also, just the fact that we're getting Namor in this, I think is fantastic. It was obviously heavily rumored. A lot of this was heavily rumored.
Yeah.
So to get all of the final confirmations and to see it, it's fantastic. And honestly, just he's very much seen as one of the first mutants in the Marvel universe. So
right.
I think it's really great that they're they've been hinting at mutants and introducing them, and we're about to get one of the originals. I think the only other original mutant would be Apocalypse, but we'll see him maybe eventually. But to have Namor in this, and to see the way that they're taking it from a sort of Aztec origin, I really love that. It seems to almost have a cultural duality to Wakanda that is so steep and rich in its own culture, very much like Wakanda. So I think that in itself serves as a really great grounds of conflict. Looks like, even as we kind of talk about the trailer when we get to it, it looks like there is a history that is going to be explored, and I'm excited to see Tanak Huerta as Namor. I think the introduction of his character in this story is going to help almost be a spiritual sequel to the cultural relevancy that the original Black Panther was, and this movie will very much have the same sort of cultural strength.
Yeah, man, dude, I'm so excited. Let's just, you know what? I can't even take it anymore. They ended the entire panel, and then Kevin Feige said, we'll be at Hall H next year, or see you next year, or something like that. So obviously they're not having any plans as of right now, all things aside, to say that they're not coming back, but that'll be next year. Here, I'm going to open up a quick portal here. I'm portaling Kevin's banjo skills in. Here we go. Kevin, can you hit it up so we can talk about these trailers, please?
It's trailer time.
All right, so we got 2 new trailers, one for a series that we've already seen a trailer for, and obviously one for Wakanda Forever. Let's talk about the first one, She-Hulk Attorney at Law, debuting exclusively on Disney Plus August 17th, really soon. We are just around the corner from it here. Directors Kat Coro and Anu Valia, as well as head writer Jessica Gao, were on stage, joined by Tatiana Maslany, Ginger Gonzaga, and Jamila Jamil. We're all at Hall H there to kind of do a quick Q&A. And then they showed off this trailer. Justin, let's just dive right into it. What did you think of this? I'd say the more official full trailer for She-Hulk Attorney at Law.
Yeah, it's crazy that we're so close to the series being launched that only now are we getting this sort of extensive look at what the series is going to be about. And it looks great. It looks like it's going to be tons of fun. I love the banter between her and Banner. Looks like she's picking up like being a Hulk really, really quickly.
Yeah.
The fourth wall breaking stuff. I love that they're introducing that through her character in this series. It seems like it's going to be the right stepping stone when we get to someone like Deadpool. And I think we've already had instances throughout. So again, it's something that is very subtle, but here it looks like it might be very integral to the experience of the show, where she's going to be talking to us and interacting with us in moments throughout the series.
I think it shows that. I think it kind of proves that the show is going to be focused a little more on comedy and more of a comedy. And even she kind of even just seems surprised by the fact that she's doing this sort of fourth wall breaking conversation. I think from the scenes that we get to see in the early part of the trailer or throughout the trailer, I imagine that those are all going to be from one episode where she's training with Bruce. And I think we see Bruce is like clearly really lonely on that island. And I think Jennifer starts completing her Hulk training much faster than anticipated. And that's causing some discourse. Like, not only is Bruce just like super jealous that she's picking it up so quickly, but he's also like, I don't want to lose my friend. Because there's that moment in the trailer where he's like, listen, if you need to go back and be a lawyer, like, you can whatever, do it or whatever, right? So
yeah, but he shares a connection now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's not the only person. Like, we've seen his journey through the MCU, and he's always dealing with having to be the only one with this disorder, if you will, right?
Sure.
And he's managed it, right? He's basically managed it. So he shares a relationship, and he enjoys that companionship. It's actually kind of funny because I think so many others around him, like Tony Stark, we've seen, and then even Thor, have leaned on him as like an emotional support. And he's like, I got my own problems. I turn green when I get too pissed off. I don't want to deal with your baggage. Now that he's like holistically like at peace, he's looking for a sense of companionship. So
right, and they share that. They share that moment with the spandex. Right, and he's like, your best friend is spandex. It just shows him stretching it out. I'm so happy that Mark Ruffalo is in the show, even if it's not for the entire thing. And yeah, you can definitely see he's getting a little upset that she's doing better than him. And I also thought it was interesting. We see I guess it's like the firm that she works for, the head of the department of the firm that she works for, talking about there are more eccentric superhumans is the words that he used. And so it's like,
very Vought.
Yes, very, I was going to say, it does feel very Vought, very corporate. And I did think that, like, again, coming out of the woodwork, just showing off, like, I think they're going to have some real fun with this, showing some really strange, really deep cut characters. I think is going to be really, really fun. Obviously, even Jamila Jamil's character is a super deep cut character for the MCU. So I feel like they're going to kind of have fun with that, have fun with Frogman, and maybe do almost like a montage of her beating up all these characters.
For sure. Or, I think it would also be funny if it was like, what was the one that was like a pavement slab, or like remember when you did your
Danny the Street? Danny the Street. I'm trying to remember if that was Marvel or DC. I think maybe it was Marvel. No, it's a DC. That's a DC character, so we won't see Danny the Street.
But but there were some obscure ones from that list that were even Marvel. So it'd be cool if they found a way to.
Dude, if Ice Cream shows up. if Ice Cream
there you go.
shows up in the show.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But I also think though that this is the way that they can introduce some of the characters that, you know, as a predictions part here. There's been a lot of rumors about Jessica Jones showing up. Well, hell, with the eccentric superhumans, that's a blanket term that can cover Luke Cage, Iron Fist. You know what I mean? Like you could get all the Defenders in there. Yeah, and you could also even get, if the rumors are true, that Jason Segel might be appearing in this series as the Thing. Like I think that's kind of cool, because I heard that and I was like, that's
Justin. I think I think you got to cool your jets on that. I think that's your Marvel fan freaking out or going into overdrive there. I think.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying though that
I don't want you to be multiverse of madness out here. I don't want you to get Mephisto'd like I was.
No, but I'm just saying there was a rumor circulating about it, and then this trailer drops, and they're saying that there's eccentric superhumans that are coming out of the woodwork here. Like this show seems like a great way to introduce, as you were saying, a lot of these characters that we might have seen, some that we don't know, some obscure ones, and maybe some ones that we will see further down the road later in other things. So who knows, right?
I think you save one of those. Maybe you save a Jessica Jones as your stinger at the end of the series, you know, to say we're going to bring Jessica Jones into the MCU. Because I think any other characters they show, they're going to want to focus on her and focus on her experience with Abomination, and that's going to kind of be the through point. So I don't see them necessarily doing little brief tiny scenes where they're bringing in all these other characters, because I think if they were to introduce those characters, they want to give them a moment, and I think you can only do that once at the end of the series. But
getting like 10 episodes for this series, right? Yeah. So it's gonna be a longer 10-30 minute episodes, right? But we already know we're getting one cameo that is certain.
Hold on. You're getting ahead of me here. You're like you're Jennifering all over this, and I'm sitting behind you here like I can't catch up. I wanted to just mention her CGI looks finished, which is really nice, because I think when we first got that very first look at her, there were a lot of people who were kind of freaking out about the CGI, and I still think there's going to be a little bit of moments where it's, you know, the hair's not going to look right or whatever, you know, if you want to nitpick it. But dude, I think she actually looks good in this. And there's a moment though that we get to see, there's like a warrior with like a glowing forearm guard. And I actually almost want to go so far as to say, if that is not one of the masters of the mystic arts, but rather, you know, because I think Wong says our universe at the moment that they show that character, I'm almost curious to think that could be someone from Talo, or maybe even the Nord dimension, right? Just in the way that glowing armor looked very Miss Marvel to me, and the sort of the inscriptions on it and things like that. I don't know. I thought that looked kind of neat.
Could be 10 Rings. Could be 10 Rings as well, because we know that she's still out there, you know, running that organization, and who knows what they've been able to weaponize from the powers and stuff like that. I think that there's a lot that this show can do, while still staying centered around She-Hulk and Jennifer Walters, and just the idea of using it as a platform to help introduce, you know, more characters in other ways, right? So, I think it looks like it's going to be tons of fun.
Yeah, man. And I'm hoping, I hope they don't blur out the middle finger when she jumps off in the actual episode. I'm hoping they actually show it. I think that would be pretty dope. Obviously, we're learning that, you know, with yesterday we talked about the mutants. Sorry, not the mutants. The Marvel zombies getting the TVMA treatment. I think it would be really fun. I think this is more of an adult comedy. Trailer. So I think they they got to unblur it. Yeah. But then yes, let's talk about it. We get almost as if we just watched the end credits for the series, but they're showing us this in the trailer. Another, you know, wonderful lawyer, Matt Murdock, shows up in a brand new red and gold suit as Daredevil. Dude,
it's his original. This is OG suit.
That's his OG suit. Okay.
Yeah, like it's not a new suit. So Yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool to see how he ties into it. He's obviously a lawyer, Matt Murdock, but the fact that they didn't show Matt Murdock, they showed Daredevil. I think that's what's really interesting, right? So we've gotten the introduction of Matt Murdock in No Way Home. So here we're getting the introduction of Daredevil, and I hope that's how it's treated. We see Daredevil before we see Matt Murdock, but you could see Matt Murdock just at the court. At the courthouse, where She-Hulk is, right? Or, maybe being, the opposing lawyer in a case, against her. Like that'll be fun to see, right? So
that'd be really cool. It would actually be really neat if he was at the trial for Jessica Jones, right? Jessica Jones is on trial for something, right? She stole something or something like that, and maybe that's where we get to see all three of them in the room at the same time, and then Jamila Jamil comes in and just crushes everything. But yeah, I'm so stoked. Again, it's right around the corner. I cannot wait. It's funny because we're gonna be watching this show and we're gonna say it again. We're gonna be like, this is such a fresh take on the MCU. It's so fresh and new and different. But that's what they keep giving us. They keep making something that still fits within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but then, takes us to a different genre. And as a comedy, like sort of law, adult comedy procedural, I'm so in. I'm so excited for this. This trailer just sealed the deal for me.
For sure.
But that wasn't the only trailer that we got. Of course, as I mentioned, Ryan Coogler came out on stage, and the Hall H presentation was capped to thunderous applause. They did the trailer for Marvel Studios' Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which is again coming out November 11th, 2022. Justin, I honestly, I watched the trailer 3 times before we did this recording. Once live, and then like when it, well, not live, but when it popped it right away. You and I watched it together, and then I watched it twice more. Dude, I still got chills, like full body chills when they start playing No Woman No Cry. I honestly, dude, I think it's my favorite trailer that Marvel has ever produced. I'm going to go so far, and I'm not being hyperbolic when I say this. I've not felt that much watching a trailer than I did watching that one, and that even for like a trailer for Endgame. Like this trailer really gave me the feels, and I do think a lot of that comes from, again, the real world loss of Chadwick Boseman, and we see characters
100%
on the screen crying, and you called out that you thought that the opening scene,
his funeral,
T'Challa's,
T'Challa's funeral, and I think that it's set up in that way, and you're absolutely right. Like the use of No Woman No Cry, speaking about the women in T'Challa's life who are going to be taking center stage and becoming the leaders of Wakanda. We knew from the last movie that he was surrounded by the strength of women, and I think that this song is placed here because it's about them not having to shed their tears, but to face the fight, because obviously T'Challa has passed, and I think at the hands of Namor and his people. I'm guessing that's what they're kind of insinuating based on some of the visuals, because there seems to be a history between Wakanda and the Atlanteans, and it's going to come full-fledged here at war, and I think that's why this movie is called Wakanda Forever. It is about Wakanda standing together without their king, and being able to still fight for what he stood for and what he helped build. So yeah, I think the trailer does such a great job of encapsulating so much. It has to do the job of getting people hooked. This is our first look at this movie. There have been countless reports of production issues, from COVID delays to production delays in general. So this teaser, this first trailer, which again is just mere months away from the actual release of the movie, it has a lot to do and say. And the trailer had to show a lot of strength in what the story that they were telling, and it does confidently. For me, I think it's when we hear Kendrick's track just kind of trickle in, and we get that, and then it starts to get really epic with the visuals, and the music starts to transition, and that's where, for me, I was like, whoa. Like, I just got that chill of excitement, right? Yeah. And Angela Bassett in this trailer, Like she
Unreal.
committed to that role, like to that performance in that moment.
Yeah.
It was so intense, and you can see she's angry. She wants blood for the loss of her son, right? So it's nuts.
Well, it's interesting too because she literally says, as Queen Ramonda, she says she's lost so much. She says her entire family is gone. Which I'm going to put my speculation hat on, and watching the trailer a few times, we don't really get to see Shuri a ton in terms of what looks like end of the movie footage. So my feeling or my thought is that Shuri is going to be taken by the Atlanteans. I think we're going to be led to assume that maybe Shuri is killed or is dead early on in the movie. And then I think that's going to be her in the suit at the end of the trailer. I think that's going to be an epic reveal of kind of her. That's her comeback in the movie as the Black Panther. I think that is going to be
interesting. My
prediction for this, because why would I get it. Like, obviously T'Challa is very important to his mom, and she would be emotional in that moment.
You're right,
and say
though.
I've lost everything, but she says her entire family is lost. So I think something's going to happen to Shuri to cause her to be that upset, because I don't think she would have said entire family. I don't know. I could be nitpicking there.
I agree with you. No, I think you're right. That's
so good.
That's a very good observation. I didn't even think of that. And that also gives a reason as to why she is so passionate, because now not only does she lose T'Challa, but in her mind she thinks she lost Shuri too. So that makes sense, and that might allow Shuri to understand more about Namor and his people, because it's clear, like, there's some great shots where he's a boy in the water, and then they juxtapose that with him as a man walking out of the water, and it almost seems like he was his family or his life must have been taken away from him. Again, it seems that the Atlantean culture is going to mirror the Wakanda culture in its own way, for having its own distinct beliefs and its processes. The way we see the birth underwater, like it was so powerful, and the visuals that you see underwater are so captivating. And it seems like there's some human interference in here as well. I don't know if you caught the military sort of stuff. It looks like they might be trying to apprehend Wakanda tech or something like that.
Yep.
I'm not sure if I was reading that right.
Well, because I think she says in that moment, she says, like, I've given so much already. You know what I mean? Like, this is them asking in their time of need. The people of Earth are asking Wakanda. The people of America are asking Wakanda for their technology, and they're just saying, like, we've already given up so much for you, for all of you. What more can we give? I think it's honestly, in the trailer, such a powerful performance. I can't wait to see it in context of the movie. I feel like Angela Bassett is going to make us cry. I think
this movie's going to make us cry.
Oh, dude, I'm already crying from the trailer. Like, it's just, but I wanted to, the mural that shows up with Chadwick. Obviously, I think that's also during his funeral. But I also wanted to call out, like, I think the movie is about, loss and birth, and I think that's going to kind of be a really big running theme throughout the film. And I think that's where Namor, we're going to start to understand his backstory. And I think Gore the God Butcher, in such a short period of time of Thor: Love and Thunder, showed us why it's so important to get these backstories. We need to understand our villains' motivations here, and I want to understand where Namor is coming from going into this movie. And I like the idea that you kind of played off of with what I was saying, of maybe we do see Shuri sort of learn a little bit more about that history. I was so stoked to see Lupita Nyong'o back as Nakia.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that she's back in our MCU. And even Martin Freeman, I think, shows up, and I think maybe that's where we start to get a little bit more of that understanding of, because he's kind of the liaison, right, for the relations between the rest of the world in Wakanda. And then, man, I don't know. Maybe it's M'Baku at the end there in the suit, but I think...
No, it's too slender.
I think it's too slender. I think it's Shuri. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could also be Okoye, but we were watching the Kind of Funny guys, and they were mentioning how maybe it is something that is shared amongst the group. So we do see someone like M'Baku wear the suit as well. Maybe even his mother. It'll be interesting to see how it all translates, because maybe this is the way that Black Panther does live on outside of T'Challa.
It's possible they are all Black Panther, right? Yeah, and we are also getting the origin of Riri Williams in this movie. I mean, it's definitely setting up a lot again in terms of the moving forward. I love the fact that you see her. Riri Williams is wearing like this sort of like white cut off shirt, and she's just hammering, and it's absolutely perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And she hammers out that little heart, which is going to be on her armor, and that is the exact heart that you see in the logo for the Ironheart series. So I honestly, it's so perfect.
Yeah, it's like the visual from Iron Man 1 when he's hammering the helmet.
Dude.
Right? So it's very poetic, if you will. So,
and we've got Ludwig Göransson coming back to do the music. So dude, this cannot come soon enough. I will absolutely move Wakanda on Earth to get to you in Ontario to watch this with you. I cannot wait for us to see this movie and to cover it. We'll be doing everything we possibly can to get a review as soon as we can for you. And that will be the end of Phase 4. And I think it's going to be such a phenomenal, grand, epic movie to end Phase 4 with. What a beautiful tribute to Chadwick Boseman. And I can't wait. I just can't wait.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But that is it for everything that we caught. Of course, for the Hall H panel from Marvel. We hope you enjoyed this recap, this sort of quick first impressions at these trailers. And if you did, be sure to subscribe to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And if you want to write into the show with your thoughts or predictions in terms of, the reveals that we got, what movies do you think are going to be happening in Phase 6 that we might have missed? Well, listen, you can reach out to us. Justin, can you do me a small favor? There's a swimming pool next to you. Can you just dive down like Namor and find the information that describes the ancient text that describes how our wonderful listeners can reach out to us?
Well, they can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com, or on Twitter at geekcentricyt, or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric.
Keep in mind, we also have a ton of other great episodes covering the latest in movies and TV shows, including our recent spoiler-free review of Thor: Love and Thunder, as well as spoiler-filled review of Thor: Love and Thunder. We also have a spoiler-free review of The Gray Man out now as well, which I think you should definitely listen to before you check out that movie. Might save you some time. And also, I wanted to mention we've got a ton of great interviews as well, with our latest with Justin sitting down with Deborah Chow, director of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin Skywalker himself, Hayden Christensen. And it's a really fantastic interview. And of course, we interviewed them because we did a watch club for Obi-Wan Kenobi. We also did a watch club for Miss Marvel. If you don't know what a watch club is, basically we cover and go through each episode by episode, week to week, and we break down our thoughts and theories for the series. And so we have one for Obi-Wan, we have one for Miss Marvel. Both are wrapped now. All those episodes are out on Disney Plus. So if you want to listen to each of our episodes as you watch each of those episodes, please do so. And if you like watch clubs, well, listen, we're going to be having 2 more coming up very soon. Obviously, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, as we've already mentioned, right around the corner. We'll be doing a watch club for that. And we also have a Star Wars series, again, Andor, coming very soon that we will be covering as well. And also, obviously, this is This Week in Geek. We do This Week in Geek every single week, and normally we drop those on Wednesdays. However, Obviously, with San Diego Comic-Con, we wanted to do something special. So if you didn't listen to yesterday's episode, go back and do so, as we did cover basically everything that happened for the first 2 days of San Diego Comic-Con. And we also, had Megan on there. We talked about a bunch of the stuff from the Marvel Animation panel. So definitely go give that a listen, and give all those episodes a listen and a 5-star review if you don't mind. Justin, thank you so much for joining me for this. My brain is melting out of my ears right now.
The fact that we took as long as we did to talk about all the things from 1.5 hour panel, but we didn't even talk about the Shazam trailer. We didn't talk about the Black Adam trailer. Yeah. We didn't talk about all the little things that happened throughout the day. Yeah. Marvel delivered. It was definitely a big day. So thanks for hosting. It was a great time chatting.
It was fantastic. Thank you so much. We'll be talking about those trailers maybe in the future at some point. I think John Wick 4 popped a trailer out as well, and so we might get a chance to chat about that.
Maybe next week's This Week in Geek, we'll probably include them on that. I think there's room for it. So you've already got This Week in Geek early. We'll see you next week, and we'll probably include those trailers as part of our discussion.
Look forward to it. And if you're a DC fan, don't worry, we didn't forget about you. But listen, for now, as we say, love ya.
Peace.